about the inherited breast cancer, breast and ovarian syndrome, and talk about the genetic testing and beyond. Primarily, this is a lecture which is more clinically oriented, and I would talk about the etiology, the BRCA1, BRCA2 molecular genetics, and talk about the testing and case examples. I think case examples is going to be the crux of my presentation. In the early 90s, the NIH actually put forward the decoding of the human genome, and this was thought to be a very formidable project, and people thought that it'll take 20 to 30 years to decode, but within flat 10 years, we had the whole genome which was decoded, and this was actually a project which was of the complexity of putting man on the moon, and within 10 years, we had that. Now, there is an interest everywhere. If we look at it, there is an interest even in the lay public, in the press, and these are some of the covers of the magazines. I'm showing you that there is a family which is, the mother is positive. What would happen to the daughter and the granddaughter? This is what the public has been actually debating. We know the risk factors for breast cancer. I wouldn't take you through that, but the biggest risk factor out of all these is the family history. I draw your attention to the bottom part of this slide, and the risk could be as high as 200% or 200 times. The relative risk could be as high as that. And there are only very few other causes which can compete with such a high risk. And what would understand, once we see that what is the percentage of breast cancer which is genetic, which is inherited. Now, this is a differentiation we need to understand, and what is the biggest risk factor. So only a proportion of breast cancer is actually inherited, or only where we know that BRCA gene is the culprit in about 5 to 10% of the patients. And there may be family clusters. They are not necessarily inherited genes, and majority are by chance, and we do not know the etiology, though other genes are being tested. Now, in the community, a woman by the age of 45 has just about 1.19% chance of developing breast cancer, which rises sharply by age 70. So remember the figure that by about 70 years, there is a 10% probability. If it is 10% in the normal population, what happens in the BRCA1 and 2, and what is the penetration? What is the penetrance? By 45, BRCA alone goes to about 40%, that's 4 times. And by age 70, this is as high as about 8 times. And BRCA2 is though on the lower side in the earlier age, but it also picks up by the age 70. And if both are mutated, there is a very high chance of the breast cancer happening. Now, contribution of BRCA1 and 2 to hereditary breast cancer and ovarian cancer syndromes, we know that hereditary cancers can happen in about 10% of the patients. And the breast cancer families and breast and ovarian families, one can see that it rises to about 14% or about 15%. And if both the BRCA2 and the 1 are actually involved, then the incidence can be much higher. The cancers tend to happen younger, earlier. Interval cancers, we say, male breast cancer could be part of that. Jewish ancestry, we know, is much higher, and presence of associated cancers, particularly ovarian, and amongst men, as I said, breast cancer, pancreatic, and prostate have been added to that list. In the clinic, we need to be a little cognizant of a high-risk pedigree. There is a history of ovarian cancer, and in the next generation, there is a history of a breast cancer and also a metastatic breast cancer. So one has to test this, because in the previous generation, there have been 2 instances of breast and ovarian. So we need to test. I'll skip some of these slides in the interest of time. What cancers are associated with BRCA? The average age at diagnosis, BRCA1 about 40s and BRCA2 50s. And I showed you the percentages. By about age 70, it rises to about 80-85%. Decade-wise, it starts as early as the 30s and picks up beyond about 40s and peaks at 70s. Second cancers in the ipsilateral breast can be as high as about 40%, and contralateral breast can be as high as about 30%. I've shown you the lifetime risk of both the breast and ovarian, and it's high. That's the message out of this slide as well. For ovarian as well, in the 30s, if there is a history or there is a positive BRCA1/2, it starts at 40s. So ovarian is about a decade later as compared to breast cancer, but the peak is in the 70s and 80s. So one has to be cognizant. The screening modalities, the counseling sessions must incorporate or take care of this. The counseling is one of the major parts. Testing is not for a clinician from a clinician standpoint. And one has to be very clear about how to assess, educate the families, and discuss the risks and benefits and what actually follows. The risk reduction surgeries and the entire screening program which follows has to be very clear with the patient and the family. Other sites, as I said, pancreatic melanoma, stomach, colon, though that is controversial, prostate and breast cancer, male breast cancer, are actually the ones which are associated. Breast BRCA1 and 2 may not be the entire story. We know that they do not explain. Therefore, there is a need to test more genes. And this is the list of the genes which are of interest now. PAL, BRCA1/2, we are already discussing. The CDH, PTEN, and TP53, which is the protector of the genome. And we know any mutation in this is a risk for occurrence of cancer. Now, there are guidelines available to do the multi-gene, because single gene, when we test BRCA1 and 2, we would get only answer for the same gene. But if we are looking at more genes, then there have to be a multi-gene testing, and the NGS would be a good platform to do that. Let's look at some examples. Now, this is the pedigree. There is a breast cancer history at age 35. Do we offer testing? Yes. Women diagnosed less than 35 have 10% chance of harboring breast cancer mutation. So we should test. There is a breast cancer at 40. Should we test? Larger families are easier to assess. If there are many relatives who have lived to older ages without developing cancer, the chance of a BRCA mutation are lower. However, testing at 40 is indicated. Does paternal history matter? There is a history of breast cancer and ovarian on the paternal side, of breast and ovarian both. And this is a woman who approaches, should I get tested at 36? Yes. BRCA mutations can pass on through mother or father both. And as I listed, some of the cancers which can be relevant, and they are as relevant as the maternal history is concerned. Now, there is a profound history of cancers, BRCA1 positive. Some of the other individuals also positive. The one who comes at 35 tests BRCA negative. Do we believe this negative result? Is it always going to be passed on? Is it always going to be positive in the next generation? Yes, true negative with 100% certainty. So we don't need to doubt this as long as our methodology is the right methodology we have adopted. Do we test children? There is a profound history again of breast ovarian syndrome, BRCA positive demonstrated at 3. Should we test? No, not for BRCA mutations, for the simple reason that there is no test or no other intervention which is possible at 3. We do test children for the other genetic mutations, but not for breast cancer or ovarian cancer. How do we manage these positive patients? There are strategies for risk reduction, prophylactic surgery, mastectomy, oophorectomy, chemoprevention is talked about, but not as widely practiced. And screening should involve mammograms, MRIs, and there is a merit and demerit to everything in medical science. Prophylactic bilateral mastectomy reduces the risk by more than about 90% because you're taking away the breast tissue. Prophylactic oophorectomy also reduces with greater certainty, almost about 95%. And the screening should be, women should be encouraged to follow the breast self-examination. For ovarians, we understand there are no good options. Still, TBS and CA125 could be done. MR, because younger patients have dense breasts, they are sensitive and more specific. Mammos have less sensitivity for the because of the on account of the density, and other modalities could also be done, but combined, these can lead to sensitivity of 90% and above. So as I said that multiple members in the family, breast cancer less than 50, bilateral or multicentric breast cancer in a family, more than 2 breast cancer patients in the family. These are all indications. And don't forget the male breast cancer and known BRCA1 and 2 mutations in the family. These are clear indications for testing. And there are guidelines for testing both in the NCCN and many other platforms. And as I said, that these women need to be followed more closely because the interval cancers are actually known and described. I thank you everyone for the patient listening, and thanks Deepak and organizers for giving me this opportunity. I'll be happy